All right, you are looking live at Boone, North Carolina, as we've got a little bit of winter weather there today. It's looking pretty snowy. As we get into what an interesting event this evening here on the Carolina Weather Group. We've got webcams from Boone and from NC State. And as far as humans go, we got Scotty Powell in Morganton. We got me, Jared Smith, here in Charleston, South Carolina. Uh, all kind of on Flurry Watch this evening, but some to more of an extent than others. Scotty, how are things up in your neck of the woods this evening? I know that you did see a few flakes, but you got dry slotted at some five flakes.
I counted five.
All right.
Actually, I was getting ready to put on my personal Facebook page, weather page, the northwest winds have kicked in here, so any chance we had of having any more precipitation is pretty much cut off now, as the northwest winds are really coming in and drying things out. So that'll help aid in what's going on in Boone tonight with northwest flow snow. But if you wanted snow off the mountains here in the foothills, that time has come and gone. So very tricky forecast, and one that I kind of saw last night coming, where we might be dry slotted, and I tried to convey that message out as best I could. And so I don't want to say it was a failed forecast, because I've tried to get out there, but I know there's going to be a lot of disappointed people, especially here in the foothills.
Well, I mean, again, and that's the, and we talked about this last night too. I mean, that you definitely stood a decent chance of getting dry slotted on this. So it's not like that this is out of, it's not like this is out of bounds or anything, right? Like, I mean, this was definitely in the cards for this forecast, and so certainly something to watch. So, but Boone didn't lose out, and again, we're going to watch Raleigh for a little bit later tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take us into the maps here real quick as I hit that. There we go, and we will transition that. So, let's take a look at the observations across the area. You can see that, first of all, you'll notice that I have basically my big old head right now is the center of that low pressure that is beginning to really start to ramp up offshore of North Carolina. And this is the low pressure system. This guy right here, where my cursor is, where my hand is now, this guy right here, this is where we're going to see this guy is going to move north. And as it moves north, it's going to bring blizzard conditions to much of New England. And so we will see what happens with that. And that is going to be quite an event for there. They've been honestly a little bit due for a good snowstorm. So looks like that bill is coming due up there. Let's zoom in a little bit on the Carolinas though and talk observations. So definitely the chill is on. Scotty was noting just before we went on air that the northwest wind is really starting to get going here, and that is going to gradually work to cut off the snow chances in the foothills of North Carolina. Watauga County, heliport right now, 25 degrees with light snow, 28 degrees at Asheville with light snow, 35 degrees at Shelby Municipal. Also, the automated system reporting light snow, but that can kind of flame out at times. Over on the other side of the rain snow line, we have 39 degrees in rain at Monroe Airport, 37 at Charlotte Douglas, which is kind of right on the line there. You're getting some light rain and some snow at Charlotte Douglas. So that's kind of where, if you think about that, Charlotte area, maybe up towards the Triad, I think is where we're going to start seeing that transition trying to happen. Light snow in Winston-Salem, light rain in Greensboro. So right, and Rockingham is reporting light rain. So we've got so we've certainly got some questions there. Let's go ahead and go to the regional radar here as I pull all that up here. There's your regional radar, and you can see it's not very well defined. This is not exactly the most impressive storm that we've covered on the Carolina Weather Group.
Jared, I'll tell you this though, there was an area that overperformed, and that was the upstate of South Carolina and northern Georgia and northern Alabama. Huntsville has actually snow on the ground. GSP tweeted out a video, and we retweeted that on the Carolina Weather Group, where it was just peppering the snow in upstate South Carolina. So there was some areas that really wasn't expecting to see a flake at all and got some. So It's how it goes sometimes.
These marginal events and these upper lows, again, we've been talking about this for the last few days. These upper lows, I mean, they cause problems. Let's just that they're troublesome. Okay, they just they just don't always do what you expect. And again, in a moisture being chased by the cold scenario, as we have moisture gradually being stripped out of the atmosphere, that is going to also complicate things. But we do have a report now of flurries in Clemens, North
Yep.
Carolina. So
And a fully transitioned rain to all snow now in Kernersville, which is between Greensboro and Winston-Salem with a temperature of 33. So
okay,
there you go,
um,
Forsyth and Guilford County. Maybe you can
yeah.
get lucky up that way.
And there you go. One way that you can keep us all in the know, us in the Carolina Weather Group, your local news meteorologist, your National Weather Service meteorologist, is to send your precipitation type reports using the MPing app. We'll be looking at that throughout the night. I'm going to have it right up over here. Here we'll show you a few MPing reports in a few minutes. That is tremendously useful information to let us know what's going on the ground. The radar can only tell us so much, especially in light events like this and marginal events where we don't have that huge stack column of moisture to really like generate a ton of snow. We get the returns are a lot less. They're a lot less defined. So your MPing reports are extremely important tonight as we go. So please do use the MPing app to send in those reports. And as we go here, we were looking at Boone and Raleigh, NC State there, and we do expect at some point here to start seeing some maybe start seeing a little bit of weather developing around Raleigh. Right now they are at, I'm gonna go grab their observation here. They're at 39 with overcast. So we do expect that to continue to evolve over the next few hours. Again, we have light rain, maybe some snow mixing in around Burlington. We had that report in Kernersville just a little while ago. So we're getting there. It's going to get there. And again, when we go to, let me grab that, and we will take a quick look at the. I'm gonna screen share the National Weather Service forecast for snowfall for North Carolina real quick. And let me grab that, and we're going to take this full so y'all can see kind of what we're dealing with here. So here's your expected snowfall in North Carolina. And again, generally 1 to 2 inches, probably. Scotty, it's interesting that we're not quite seeing the pronounced band that we were talking about. That does not look like that's going to materialize at this point.
No, in all case and purpose, I really think this is not going to be the best forecast for any of us. Case in point, we talk about the models or our guidance, and that's the information we have. But I would, if you see these totals, I would want you to look at the very low end of these, and that is probably what we're going to see. Just sometimes it's not your event, and this may not be that event for a lot of folks. My main concern, especially for the folks in Charlotte, near the Charlotte metro area, I don't see a lot of precipitation moving your way. And that band really looks to be not really going to develop. So
Yeah.
not the way that the models were showing that well produced band. It's not verifying right now.
Yeah, and that's something that we're just gonna have to, unfortunately, this is something we just have to deal with. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take the local radar out of Greer here, and
I'll tell you where it looks like that band is setting up is from Shelby down to Newberry. Well, actually,
yeah,
Lenore down to Newberry. That kind of looks to be where the band is really setting up, and that's going to be moving off to your east. So this could be more of a South Charlotte event than a North Charlotte event.
we'll see. I mean, again, we do have some returns showing up around Hickory, and they are, but they're not reporting any precipitation
Yeah,
right now in
there's
Hickory.
yeah. I've been asking all my people that live in Hickory and Eastern Burke County, and nobody's reporting anything. There's still a lot of dry air.
Yeah, and again, the dry air that we're talking about is closer to the surface too. And this is a place where I wish we had a weather balloon, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I really wish we had a weather balloon in this neck of the woods. I think that would be honestly supremely helpful as we go. Let me swap that back in there, and I'm going to turn that off, and we will we'll have the webcams up to my I think to my right.
Yeah, well, and I'm looking. Some folks really commenting up here in the foothills about the wind whipping up, and you don't want that wind if you want snow. That's telling you that we've got a change in direction in the air and that northwest flow. I will say, friend of our show here who watches us a lot, Michael Benfield, who lives in the northern half of Iredell County, is reporting some accumulating snow on grassy surfaces and on porch railing. So there is a
Okay.
little bit of snow there in northern Iredell County. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, and again, we'll want to keep an eye on that. You know, there's some places you're gonna hit, some places you're gonna miss, and that's just the way this goes with these marginal upper low events. And sometimes they can overperform, and sometimes they don't.
think of this setup as like a summertime thunderstorm pattern, where some areas is going to get a big storm with a lot of rain, and other areas you're going to get nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good way, I think, to kind of draw up of what's going on right now. Is
Yeah.
it's going to be hit or miss.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. And again, you know, we're gonna do our best to guide you through it. But you know, again, the confidence in this one right now is a bit low based on the way it's played out so far. We do have MPing reports near. Let me see. Let me get a location here near Roebuck, South Carolina, between Roebuck and Pauline. A snow mix there. So we got some snow in there. Snow report coming in there. And again, that's the area that's kind of overperformed on this a little bit. Notice that surface temperatures are still above freezing. This is going to be a situation where we have the coldest air in the vast majority of the atmospheric column. But just before you get to the surface, that's where we're going to run into. That's where we're going to see that thin layer of warm air that is going to hopefully cut down on, at least in the short term, cut down on travel concerns in this area.
Well, and Jerry, that's a good point, because let's think of that. The surface temperature, I think, was that 36 there in Union.
Yeah.
So imagine if we have heavy precipitation, that allows the cold air to be drugged to the surface.
Yes.
The heavier the precipitation, the cooler the surface is going to become, because that heavier precipitation is dragging the cold air to the surface. With these light returns, you don't really get that. You don't get that dynamic cooling as you would with some heavier precipitation.
Right, that's correct. And so we definitely want to see a little bit of bright banding show up on the radar. Bright banding is when we start to get in the higher reflectivity ranges. We would love to see some bright banding tonight. If you're into snow, that's what you're looking for. That's what you're hoping happens for sure. Obviously, we're going to keep a very close eye on this as time goes on. We'll go back to the regional view here, and again, you know, looking at this. Looking at this from here again, we just have a smattering. There's your low. There's your big old low. This guy is gonna go nuts. I don't say that lightly, but this thing is gonna go. This is gonna go nuts as it moves up into New England. We already have snow falling. I mean, I realize that this is the Carolina weather group and not the Rhode Island weather group. But still, I mean, it's kind of remarkable that we're already seeing this, and this is because of this upper low. We've talked so much about the upper low. Let's show it. And so here's the water vapor view. And again, you'll notice that the deepest moisture, the coldest water vapor values are shunting offshore right now. They're shunting off of they're headed offshore, where you see this big dip here around and centered around Cincinnati. That is the trough. There's your upper low, and this guy is going to swing southward over time. The question is how far south and how much moisture is going to be left to wring out any real precipitation. That's what we're going to be watching for here in the next little bit. So certainly something that we're going to want to keep a very close eye on. And again, what this implies for a lot of folks is that, some people are going to win, some people are going to lose. I mean, that's just and unfortunately that's the way this goes.
Probably more losers than winners.
Unfortunately, I mean, it certainly seems like that's going to be the case this go around. And we don't like to say that, but we we root to be correct, but hey, we love
Yeah.
snow. So there's so that's the deal there. So that low is departing. We have the upper low moving in with some scattered snow showers, Chattanooga, Nashville to Knoxville, Charlotte, Raleigh, and we could see this begin to and we'll continue to see this kind of rotate through over the next little while. I'm just looking at some model data real quick, and again, looking at how it's performing, kind of looking at how some of the rapid models are performing with Snowfall, and the changeover right now seems to be okay. I'll say that Winston-Salem, Greensboro. I mean, it looks like the high-res models have a decent handle on this changeover. But they did not handle. But I will say this: they did not handle Greenville well. In Greenville, you guys, you overperformed the models tonight in a big way. So that could be interesting as far as like, okay, how far south does this get, et cetera. So again, we've had some questions around Greenville. You've had a good bit of snow already. If there's going to be, it looks very unlikely though that you're going to see much more at this point, as that moisture does strip out. And really where we're gonna see any residual snowfall is going to be in the eastern half of the state, going into and then again possibly in the mountains of North Carolina. It looks like some snowfalls, very light precipitation may be indicated here. Again, nothing major, just maybe a little bit of the upslope, but again, that moisture is getting out of here. That Arctic air is getting in. Meredith from Charleston, a frequent flyer on the Charleston weather page. Hi, Meredith. How are you? And, hello from Charleston. And Charleston, I wish I had better news for you. But the model trends have not been awesome for any significant snowfall, unfortunately. And that's something that we're going to need to keep a close eye on here. We'll go back to the models here real quick and kind of show you what to expect here. I've been doing a little bit of model analysis here, so please forgive all of my lines here. I have so many lines, so many lines here. We're going to take the wind barbs off, and we'll just leave it at pressure in the radar. And again, this is the 0Z run of the high resolution rapid refresh. We should be seeing some additional data come in anytime, some new NAM runs, but this typically handles it best. So again, when we're looking at 5 a.m. We'll zoom into South Carolina because we've had some questions around Horry County, Myrtle Beach, those areas. So let's take a look at South Carolina here, and you can see that there's still some light snow, Lancaster to Florence to Sumter, and beginning to mix in a little bit in the Charleston metro area as well, down to kind of scraping Somerville, Monk's Corner, changing over from rain to snow in places like Jamestown. And maybe even making it as far south as downtown Charleston. Well, that there may be a few flakes there, but again, I'm not expecting much. The further south you go, the lower confidence I have in snow. And in fact, we may the cutoff may be may really be east of 26 at this point. If I'm looking for a decent snow show close to Charleston, I'm going to be looking in northern Berkeley County around Lake Moultrie, into Hugie, into the Francis Marion. I'm going to be looking in northern Charleston County, Ondaw, McClellanville. I think you have a decent shot. And then as we go in through time, this is 6 a.m. We see some snow showers around, snowflakes around Myrtle Beach. So yeah, I do think that you see some. I don't think that you see much. But I do think that you see a little bit. And again, in some of these places where we have some of these heavier rates and some of the bigger flakes, I do think that we're going to get some accumulations, generally on grassy surfaces, generally about, it's not going to be too terribly much to write home about, less than an inch for sure in many spots. I'll bring up the National Weather Service forecast map for South Carolina now and take that guy full. And we'll show you what we're expecting here. Just up towards Cheraw and Dillon, you may see 1 to 2 inches. That is certainly that's a possibility. But again, I would say that is on the high end of the spectrum there. So I would keep that in mind very, very closely here. I would suspect that is on the high end, but the upper low seems more likely to swing through here, the core of that upper low, and so that should help keep some precipitation in the area. And then generally, you have this dusting all the way down 26. Less than an inch in most locations, Myrtle Beach included, Georgetown, Kingstree, Sumter, Monk's Corner, a few flakes in Charleston, not but I'm really concerned there. So we will, so again, if you're going to be up late, I know that there's going to be folks who are who are going to be up late trying to catch this. And I'll tell you, the further southwest you are, the less likely that you are. Again, if you are west of 26, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But over time, we'll see a decent amount of snow showers through the I-95 corridor, generally clearing the I-95 corridor and I don't know if the H3R is lagging here, but I mean, it does continue to show some snowflakes in the area as late in North Carolina, as late as about 10 a.m. So we'll see if that pans out. Again, something tells me that it may dry out a little bit faster. We will need to watch that closely. But again, the risk for travel is going to be where it rains tonight, where it snows tonight, and when that cold air punches in, potentially refreezing on elevated surfaces. So some ice will be possible on bridges, especially in North Carolina, I think, tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the temperatures, and we're still marginal with some of our temperatures now. Our North Carolina mountain communities, all below freezing. But looking across the foothills up to the Triad and down to Charlotte, you're anywhere between that 35 to 40 degree range. And then back over Raleigh into eastern North Carolina, you're in the low 40s. So we still have a little bit of time before we drop below freezing. Now, if you get up towards the Virginia, North Carolina border, up towards Powlett Mountain, where I seen about 2 inches of snow there in Surry County. They're at 32 freezing. So right there near the Virginia, North Carolina line, then into the mountains. That's where you're below freezing right now. But as that cold air kind of ekes in, and Jared, I think this is another reason that why the snowfall maybe has not come to fruition like the models, is that cold air has taken a little bit more time to get over the mountains into the foothills and the Piedmont to kind of transition. It's more of a cold air really trying to chase this moisture to see if you can get anything to turn over to some snow.
Yeah. And again, as we have been saying all week, cold chasing moisture is a recipe for disappointment.
It is. It's hard to do. I know the Appalachian Mountains are pretty, and I know you like to get up there and hike and see the beautiful fall color. And if you live up there and you like snow, it's a great producer of snow. But if you live off of the mountains, those mountains are a hindrance because it kind of dams up that cold air, and that cold air is dense. And so it takes more of a force or push to get it up and over the mountains into the lower elevations. So
I like this comment. Cold chasing rain is like Lucy with a football. It's so true. It's so true. I certainly cannot agree with that more. I think that's the
and Jared, this is why one of those rules to get a winter storm in the Carolinas is you got to have cold air in place first. And the one true way to do that is to have a good old high pressure up over the Northeast, kind of funneling that cold air into the surface with that cold air wedge. And so,
or a snow machine.
Yeah, like Brad's snow machine.
Snow machine like we'll have tomorrow at a Winterfest up in Blowing Rock. That's pretty good. Speaking of that neck of the woods, let's take Boonful here real quick, and you can see pretty cool night to go out. The roads are, looking a little slick, but people seem to be getting around all right.
Speaking of roads, I'm going to share this tweet from Tim Buckley.
Yeah.
This is a DOT camera at Reynolds Road in Winston-Salem. And if you kind of look at that, looks like there may be a little bit of a coating there.
Look at that texture there. Yeah, that's no good. We definitely don't like to see that. Oh, mercy.
Yeah. And then looking over here at some of the comments, there is a coating on the west side of Winston and Louisville. So
okay.
There you can see the Winston-Salem area, the DOT camera. Unfortunately, these aren't live, so we can't stream it like we do with our South Carolina. So we just have to get snapshots of them.
Yeah, but that's useful. I mean, it's still seeing that snapshot there is valuable and gives us an idea of that travel problems are going to be a concern tonight. And again, we're when I take a look at areas around Winston-Salem, the air. I'll pull my map back up real quick. looking around at Winston-Salem, and again, we're down to, we're right at 34 there as of the last observation. That's likely continuing to fall. We do have imping reports there. We have imping reports as far east now as Greensboro and Burlington, and even one north of Hillsborough. So certainly something interesting that we'll want to keep an eye on here over the next little bit, again, as we watch for this transition to snowfall.
Yeah, we got a picture here on Twitter. I'll share the screen here where you can see there are some areas in the mountains of North Carolina that's picked up a decent amount of snowfall. This in the Wolf Laurel Country Club area in Yancey County of about 6 inches of snow up there. So
let's take this full here. Let's get that's impressive.
Yeah, 17 degrees, 4,500 foot elevation there in Yancey, North Carolina.
Yep.
And it continues to snow up there.
Yeah, and that's where the Weather Service had a winter storm warning. So it certainly seems like that they got the elevations pretty well nailed. And again, the mountain towns certainly have not disappointed today. I've also seen some photos earlier from Boone, from a colleague of mine. It was looking pretty wintry. It was definitely looking winter wonderland-ish down there. And so certainly a lot of fun to be had.
Here, I got one more for you, Jared.
Yeah, bring it, man.
This is a place that we really didn't expect to see snow tonight.
There we go.
This in Clanton. I'm going to try to get a little bit full screen here. This in Clanton, Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia did all right.
Big fat flakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that. Georgia wasn't in that area of possibility we thought we'd see this, but that's what happens sometimes when you are predicting weather.
Pepper low, weatherman's woe. I mean, that's
right.
If that isn't so true, I don't know what is. We do have a new imping report south of Hickory of snow. So again, that low level dry air, it's a difficult thing, but as you get that atmosphere kind of moistened up from the top down, there's no other way I could say that. I'm sorry. You can see some of that stuff begin to hit the ground. We'll see how, again, we'll have to see, how far that, how much that cold air dam holds and how prevalent that dry air stays as we go. But certainly tonight is, it's going to be worth watching. And again, I want to make sure that expectations are properly managed, especially the further south you go. This is a tricky one. This is on the margins here. We do not expect, when you get further into South Carolina, especially in the low country, we do not expect travel concerns. We don't expect another avalanche. None of that. It's, you may see some flakes, but I want to make sure that everyone is good on that front there. So, all right. We will take the let me grab, nope, that's not the one I wanted. Let me grab that. And that actually was the one I wanted. We'll go back to the regional radar here real quick. And in a second here, we're going to bring in James Brierton outside, once again, standing outside in Charlotte. He'll be joining us shortly. But as we take a look again, snow showers generally along I-85 and getting into the I-95 corridor, possibly a little bit here. Roanoke Rapids, Rocky Mount, and those neck of the woods. Let's check the observations there. So we have light rain actually at Halifax, 34, light rain at Rocky Mount, and broken clouds at Tarboro. So also to be clear, this mask may not, this precip type mask may not be showing you. This is why we need your reports. This is why we need MPing, because this is only an estimation based off of model data. And we get into these situations where we have a lot of stuff mixing. It can be very difficult. So we do have a couple questions here. Snow coming to Greenville, North Carolina. And yeah, we do expect that. Again, you're going to be probably in the dusting zone more than anything else, but we do expect that you're going to see a little bit of snow in Greenville, North Carolina. Raleigh, North Carolina, probably adjusting to an inch. Not expecting a major event in that neck of the woods, but you could be running into some travel issues, and that's what we're seeing to your west in Winston-Salem right now, and that could be moving eastward as time goes on. All right.
I got it funny. My uncle just texted me. He lives about 15 miles north of me up into the northern part of Burke County. He's like, the stars are outside. So that automatically tells you the snow threat is over here in the foothills. The stars are starting to shine.
Yeah, it's we'll have to see what happens there. And you know, it's going to be difficult. We'll get to a couple other questions real quick. Just to note, GSO looks like just changed over to Flurries. So thank you for that report from Share the Risk on YouTube. Very useful here. How much snow in Somerville? I would not count on much in Somerville, South Carolina. You might see some flurries. You may, you could see a brief dusting, but with the model data that I'm seeing, I am losing confidence in any significant snow. And by significant, I mean like 1/100 of an inch or 1/10 of an inch of snow on grassy surfaces. So yeah, we're not there yet. But what we're going to do now is we're going to join James Brierton in Charlotte. And he is, once again, for the second consecutive week, standing outside. James, how are you?
Well, there's a big major difference from now to this time last week, Jared. I've got my snow brush here at my feet. I got my measuring stick, which slid out of reach. I got my sled, and they're all just wet. It's all just wet. We're continuing just to get rain here on what is technically the border of Charlotte and Matthews in southeastern Mecklenburg County. I am noticing in the light just above me here the smallest indication that maybe something is trying to freeze. 99% of this is still rain, but it almost looks like there's dandruff falling from the sky. That's how small these tiny little flakes are. So I anticipate being a lot peppier about this in the next 45 minutes. How does that sound?
Good luck.
You're just upset because you're not in the winter weather advisory.
I'm just.
You're just over it. You're like, guys.
I'm just trying to be real.
You're like, guys. Rule number 1: when the cold air is chasing the moisture, it never works.
Yeah.
That's
shouldn't it have been snowing about?
It's not looking good.
Ish.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little hindcasting here with the model real quick and just
hindcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna look at you can looking at some of the old stuff here. So 2-3Z here is about coming close to about 10 o'clock, and yeah, I mean it doesn't even have the high res rapid refresh doesn't even have much in the way of precipitation at all in your neck of the woods. It's all very light, but for what it's worth, with the preset mask on, it does still seem like should be rain. It looks like your changeover is going to happen closer to midnight now.
The temperature is dropping. 2 hours ago, it was 43. I've got 36 now. So, but the problem is we don't have an infinite amount of moisture. We've got it between now and 5 a.m. at the latest.
Yeah, and again, I think
it's really dry, y'all. It's the moisture is just not there, y'all. It's
the moisture.
The moisture. I mean, like the heavy moisture that you need for this to be snow. It's just
right, because the rain helping to cool down the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Follow now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, there is moisture, but yes.
Yeah, but not the heavy rates. We need some heavier rates to get that going.
But just so we're not eating our words tomorrow morning, assuming this gets below freezing, which I mean by all indication it will, it is now very wet out here, which means all of that could be very